Welcome to another episode of Mastermind Bites. Hi, my name is Fong. I'm an entrepreneur, business strategist, real estate investor, speaker, and also a best-selling author. And every single day, I help others unlock the potentials and guide them to succeed. Today on Mastermind Bites, I get to feature another amazing individual. And the reason why I have this show is because over the last few years, I've met some amazing individuals, some very successful people, some masters of the skill set, and being able to talk to them, being in the same room as them, learning from their skills, learning from their talks, and also the discussions. Being able to have these lessons learned and put into our daily lives has been an absolute privilege and honor. So I just wanted to give back and showcase some of the lessons learned that I've got from these amazing people. And today I'm very excited to be able to feature Mr. Bruce Timm. And the reason why I'm excited about Bruce Timm is because lots of people here know that I'm a big Batman fan. And to be very, very honest, I would not be a big Batman fan if not for this man right here, Mr. Bruce Timm. It was because of his 1990s series, the Batman animated series, that really captured me into the whole Batman universe and really liking that whole character and really shaped me to the person I am today. And I could go back and think back of all those years, all those days where I would come back from school and just really want to watch this show because it was absolutely amazing and basically shaped me up to a person who really likes comics and really likes the whole Batman character to this very day. And the thing is, prior to this, the only really big reference to Batman was really the Adam West Batman, the 1966 Batman, which was very campy, very funny, and very, in a sense, kind of corny as well. But that was the style of Batman at that time. And it wasn't dark, it wasn't serious, it wasn't very movie-like. And when the Batman animated series came out, it really captured everybody's attention and it changed the whole animation universe from that very moment. Now, Bruce Timm is an artist, he is a producer, he is a writer and also an animator. He's just an amazing person when it comes to the DC universe, the comic book universe, and that whole genre. He created the animated series of Batman. He also created the very famous character now, Harley Quinn, Batman Beyond, that series. And he was also involved with a lot of other projects before that, such as Tiny Toons and a whole bunch of other great childhood favorites of ours. Now, the reason why I'm showcasing him today is because throughout his journey of creating the Batman animated series, there's a lot of great nuggets of lessons that we can actually put into our businesses and into our personal lives for us to grow. And the top 5 lessons I want to showcase today is, number 1, sometimes you have to create your own voice, create your own style, and just see where that goes. Number 2, there's always pushback. You have to push back sometimes, and sometimes you're just gonna feel that you might get fired, but you want to push back because you have this certain thought as to what it's going to look like. Number 3, always try and find a way, regardless of what the rules are. Play within the rules, but kind of find a way around those rules and being able to deliver the product that you've always wanted to deliver. Number 4 is feed the call. You never know what the audience wants. You never know what your clients want. But once you put it out there, maybe it's going to be able to grow organically. And number 5, sometimes you just have to learn on the fly and then accept those opportunities when they come. It doesn't have to be perfect, but once you say yes, eventually you get into a situation where you're going to learn and be able to overcome any trials and tribulations and take that opportunity head on and succeed in them. So going back to number 1, which is creating your own style. You sometimes have to find your own voice. We want to be authentic. We want to be able to showcase who we are. And Bruce Timm found his drawing style. He found his voice. He found that type of genre that fits perfectly with his art style. And it all started with the Batman animated series. In fact, what you see here is a style that has become the Timm style of comic book genre and comic book artist and all that kind of stuff. And it became that TIMMVERSE style. And people know this style because it relates back to who he is. And it started off in the Batman animated series. So when you find your own style, you showcase it. You want to be able to voice your own voice and voice your own style so that you let that grow and become basically your brand. This style of art is Bruce Timm's brand, and he's very well known for this style. So sometimes go out there and find your style, find your voice. Number 2 is that sometimes you have to push boundaries. Sometimes you have to push back, because once you have that vision, that dream that you always wanted, sometimes you have to bend the rules a little bit. Sometimes you just have to go against what the regulations are and see how you can play with it so that you can get that kind of thought process through and push back and push back, push back. As he sometimes said that because the style of the Batman animated series was so different from what was actually out there at the time. It's not that whole campy look. It's not that whole cartoon for only kids. Because like back then, these cartoons were made for kids focused at the age of 2 to 11. He was focused on those kids that are a lot older than that age group, which is between 5 to about 15, 16-year-olds, because the time slot was in the afternoon usually. And therefore, a lot of the older kids would be actually watching this. But he wanted to push those boundaries. He wanted to push back to what he could put out there. And in the end, he always wanted to make sure that it is something that he himself, as an adult, would also want to watch. So he pushed back on certain things, certain regulations to see what they could get away with. And sure enough, they got away with a lot more than he anticipated. For instance, back then, there was no violence. There was no, you can't show a person hitting somebody else with a frying pan, because kids might have access to a frying pan and they don't want to show those images. So he pushed back and pushed back, pushed back. So that he could actually get some guns in there. He could get some fighting in there. He could get some other things that normally cartoons are not allowed to show. But because he had a great team and there was a great executive producer, and they were able to bend those rules a little bit. And then the more he asked, the more he got. And sometimes he did win some battles, but he also got a lot more than what he actually thought of. So sometimes you have to push those boundaries to get what you want and get more of what you thought you might have gotten. Number 3 is find a way. When you're pushing those boundaries, when you find out that there's these regulations and these rules that you have to follow, how do you go around it? How do you make it even better? And one of the examples that he actually showcased was the fact that in the animated series, you're not allowed to show anybody dying. So for instance, if somebody falls off a building, you can't show them falling off the building and then showing them dead on the ground below. So the thing is, during this scene, which showed Barbara Gordon being thrown off a building, he needed to show that Barbara Gordon dies, because it was integral to the storyline of what he was trying to showcase at the time. So how do you show the case that she actually passed away or she actually died from that fall? She can't show her dead on the ground. So in fact, what he did show was a point of view of a driver in a car, and then all of a sudden the roof collapsed. And that was all that was needed to showcase that Barbara Gordon fell off that building and then crushed that car where the roof collapsed. And in fact, that person who was driving that car was her father, Commissioner Gordon. So the thing is, in fact, he worked around the rules, he worked around what the regulations was, but the actual vision and results of what they came up with was even more graphical and even more impactful than what would have been if they just showed her fall into the ground and die. So always find a way to get around certain things that's legal and also moral. When it comes to the business world, there's a lot of things, there's a lot of rules, there's a lot of different challenges, but always find that way. And how do you find that way to make it even more impactful, even more effective than what you would have had to do it to begin with? Number 4 is feed the call. Feed the call, because you never know what your audience members are looking for. You never know what your clientele is looking for. Sometimes once you put something out there that you didn't even think was going to be a big thing, eventually could blow up into this very, very popular thing that everybody is asking for. And that is exactly what happened when he and Paul Dini came up with the character Harley Quinn. Harley Quinn now is one of the most well-known characters in the DC universe. She is one of those people that is being cosplayed all the time when you go to those comic book conventions and whatnot. Very, very popular character. And it got to the point where he didn't even know it was that well received until one day somebody told him it was one of those characters that everybody wanted to dress up as, or the most amount of people are dressing up as. And he goes, wow, when did that happen? In fact, when he came up with this character with Paul Dini, They thought it was a throwaway character, a henchman, a henchwoman with Joker, and basically after 1 or 2 episodes, they'll no longer be needing this character anymore. But because of the popularity, because of so many people, so many fans clamoring for more and more and more Harley Quinn, they came up with backstory, built up this whole origin story for her, and built up this whole story arc for her. That eventually her character grew up to be the point where right now is one of the most popular characters in the DC universe. So sometimes you never know. Give the fans what they want, give your clients what they want, feed the call. He actually did this with a lot of his animated series movies as well. For instance, Year One and Hush, and also The Killing Joke. These are some of the most iconic storylines in the comic book universe for Batman. And because fans have been clamoring and asking and calling for these to become an animated movie, he then produced all these movies as well. And sure enough, they're all really good movies, and a lot of them have been really well recognized. The next thing is, and the final lessons that I want to showcase here is sometimes you have to learn on the job. Sometimes it's never perfect. You can't expect yourself to know everything before you take on an opportunity. And when the Batman animated series came about, he was actually going to be just a storyboard artist and the artist for the job. He came up with some storyboards, he came up with some drawings for what he wanted the character to look like, what the theme's gonna feel like, what the voice of the show is gonna look like. And then all of a sudden, the executive producer came up to him and goes, you know what, you're the perfect person to be a producer for this TV series as well. Now, before that, he had no experience as a producer. He had no experience how to run a show like this, how to organize and manage and all that kind of stuff, or be a producer for a show. But he said yes, because it was a great opportunity. He learned on the fly. He surrounded himself with an amazing team, an amazing cast, and it just made it work. So sometimes you really just have to learn on the fly, learn on the job, and don't pass away on great opportunities. That is how he became a great storybook artist. That is how he became a great storybook artist and also producer, and somebody who everybody now recognizes as the forefront of the animation world, as the person who won the Emmy for some of the episodes in Batman, the animated series, and is just an icon when it comes to Batman and comic books as well. So those 5 lessons again is number 1, sometimes you just have to find that voice, find your style and showcase it out there and be authentic when you find that voice and find that style. Number 2 is sometimes you have to go and push back. Fight for what you want, fight for what your vision is, and then always push, push, push. And you never know what else you are going to get. It might be a lot more than what you expected. Number 3, find a way. Find a way around the regulations, around the rules, play within the rules, be ethical, be moral, and then find another solution towards those challenges. And sometimes those solutions tend up to be a lot better and more effective than what you originally started. Number 4, feed the call. Feed the call of your audiences, feed the call of your clients, give them what they want, and still become that person who's still authentic and be true to your story, true to your characters, true to your voice, and then feed that call so that people will actually get what they want. And the more you do that, the more you can grow. And finally, say yes to opportunities and learn on the fly, because you can't be perfect before you take on the opportunities. You can't know everything before you take on a new opportunity or a job. So those are the 5 main lessons that I got from Bruce Timm, and I thought those were 5 things that really, really spoke to me because it applies to our personal lives and also to our business mindset as well. So I hope you liked this episode on Bruce Timm, and if you did, please go back to some of our other episodes on Mastermind Bites where we showcase a whole bunch of other very successful individuals. And if you like this show, we have the Peak Potential Success Show, we have the Make More Mind Bites, and also the Unlocking the Mind Behind Make More Work Less. Please like, subscribe, and follow and comment. I love seeing the comments. And finally, thank you all for your support. And until next time, today is the day to unlock your potential. We'll see you later.